So how was your spring break for the last couple weeks? Everyone have a good time? Happy to be back. Okay, tonight we have one of my very favorite friends, a colleague. Justin Haskell is the chairman of our board for the Center for Entrepreneurship. And I met him 16 years ago. He was one of my MBA students. And he was in the process of launching a couple of companies, and one of them grew into a very large multi-million-dollar business. And so he's now the chairman of our board, and he's a very generous donor to our center. So Jaden, our intern for the class, is going to introduce him in just a minute. A couple things. First of all, we are filling all of our positions for the SEED program for next school year, and we have a couple of spaces left in the Dominican Republic, in Santo Domingo, and in Cusco, Peru. So if any of you are at all interested in participating in the SEED program and you speak Spanish, come talk to me afterwards and we'll tell you a little bit more about those internship opportunities. So we do pay most of your way on those experiences, and it's an amazing experience. I think Justin might talk about it a little bit tonight. So we met 3 weeks ago. Who was the speaker? Do you even remember? Anyone? I was going to ask you, three of you want to come up and tell us what you learned, but I'm not sure you even remember who it was. It was Alex Swanson, who built the Nuvia Dental Company. Remember? Oh, yeah? Okay, do any of you remember anything that he said that you want to come up and tell us about? Or should we wait till next time? Okay, we have one here. Come on up. How about a couple more? Anyone else? Okay, awesome. And we can do one more. Anyone over here? Please, come on up. So tell us your name and what you remember, and we'll give you a book, okay?
Hi, I'm Alexia Nielsen, and I really enjoyed Alex Swanson's presentation. What I took away from it is you have to be self-educated. You need to constantly be searching for things to enrich your education and looking for opportunities to learn.
My name's Clara. And what I took away from it is how to solve any problem. He had like 4 different steps where, like, what is your ultimate objective? What is the best way to accomplish the objective? And then what data points? And then you can kind of go from there and change what your ultimate objective is. And I just thought that was cool because, like, you can apply that to any part of your life.
Hey, my name's Lizzie. I remember him talking about, he was very humble and very, he knew what his strengths were versus what they weren't. And he said, never work alone and bring in people to your team that have different strengths than you so that you can build a team with all the different aspects of things.
Let's give him a hand for being brave. Okay, one of the things I like that Alex said, we've had 150 speakers, and I've never heard anyone say this. He said, don't waste your 20s. Don't go backpacking through Europe for a year. Don't take a gap year. You don't have a lot of responsibilities. It's a perfect time to start testing business ideas and see if by the time you're later in your 20s, you actually have something that can provide a great livelihood for you. So I thought that was great advice. So we're ready to hear Justin. Jaden, come on up. Introduce him.
All right. We are privileged to have Justin Haskell here today with us. Justin is the founder and CEO of Maximum Senior Benefits, or MSB, a national multi-million-dollar company focused on Medicare solutions and final expense planning. He began his career in the life insurance industry, where he identified a growing need for personalized, accessible senior benefits across the country. Originally from Elk Ridge, Utah, Justin later attended Utah State University after serving a mission in the Dominican Republic. His early professional experience with Best Buddies International took him across the U.S., where he developed a passion for leadership and entrepreneurship. Motivated by this, he pursued his MBA and soon launched MSB, building it into a competitive and client-focused organization. Today he lives in Elk Ridge, Utah, with his wife and 5 children, continuing to lead MSB with a focus on service, growth, and impact. Please welcome Justin Haskell.
Thank you. All right. I am excited to be here with you guys. And the first question I have is, are you a champion? I want you to ask yourselves that. Are you a champion? Really, like think. What does that mean? Are you a champion? I want everybody to stand up for just a moment. I know it's annoying, but please stand up. This won't take long. I'm not going to make you run around and do laps and give high fives and stuff. But I want to hear your reaction, and I want to hear what you think about this next slide. Let's give it up! Woo! You are all champions. Let's go. All right, you can sit down now. Holy smokes. Okay, so here's the deal. You may not play on the basketball team, or maybe somebody is here on the team, but you should be in California right now. Or wait, where are they playing tomorrow? San Diego, that's right. So even though you may not be on the team, I want you guys to always remember you participated. You are a champion. You own this championship as well. And because if you talk about this in the future, you are an Aggie. So are they. You were all part of this. So being a champion is something that I have found in entrepreneurship is very important. You have to believe in yourself. Now the definition online, the dictionary, has a few different options, right? A winner of first prize or first place in competition. Hence, basketball team. Down lower, I like number 3 and number 4. Warrior fighter, one that does battle for another's rights or honor. So in entrepreneurship, I've really seen that belief in yourself is so important. So I want each of you to know that I believe you're a champion. And the reason why, I don't even know most of you, but the reason why I think you're a champion is because you're here today. You showed up. That's a big part of being an entrepreneur and being successful in life, is just showing up. And I love how it says battle for another's rights or honor. Some of you may be first generation college students. Who here is the first one ever in their family to be a college student? Anybody? There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Congratulations. That is amazing to think that you are the first one in your entire family history to attend college. And that legacy will be left for the rest of your life. And your ancestor, or no, the future people, sometimes I get word blanks there, your posterity, there we go, will remember you for that and thank you for that example. And a lot of you, I want you to remember that what you battle for is your family name, the legacy that you leave, the honor that you bring to your family. So remember today and forever that you are a champion. Now, next question. Are you an entrepreneur? I want you to think about that. Are you an entrepreneur? Now, I think sometimes we hear that word and most people will start to think of people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs. Maybe some of you don't even know Bill Gates, but the Microsoft founder, that was the guy in my time. He was like the entrepreneur. And sometimes we start thinking about that and we think, well, he's an entrepreneur because he runs a business. Or she's an entrepreneur because she's had success. But we fail to recognize that we are all entrepreneurs. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. If you look at the definition, the organizer of a business venture. So sometimes we think, well, business venture. Okay, well, you've got to be making at least $1 million to call yourself an entrepreneur. Or 5 million, 10 million, whatever that threshold may be in your mind. But I'd like to take you back in my entrepreneurship journey. This is me as an aspiring NBA player. I have my Jordans, I've got my shirt, but the thing I wanted to point out is the jackpot machine on top of the ping pong table. And the reason I point that out is because my mom and dad gave that to me. Well, Santa gave that to me for Christmas. Hopefully there are no children in the audience. Santa gave that to me, and I loved it. I could put quarters in it, nickels, dimes, win some money, lose some money. But what I found was my family and my friends in the neighborhood also loved it. When they came over to see what I got for Christmas, that was the main attraction. So me, not knowing I was an entrepreneur at the time, I thought, hey, why not do something with this? So I told all my family, all my friends in the neighborhood to bring their change and their little brothers and sisters and bring them and their change as well. So they all came over. We would put the jackpot machine out. They would put their nickels, their dimes, their quarters in, run it. Of course, they would win some, but as you all know, the house kept all the money in the end. So 48 hours later, unfortunately, the business was shut down. And it was the NMA that shut it down, unfortunately, the Neighborhood Mothers Association. I guess there weren't the children weren't too happy about losing their life savings. But I had to pivot, and that is something that's important in entrepreneurship. You have to learn to pivot. And if something's not working or you get shut down, you have to learn, let me figure out another option. What could work? So this here is a picture that defines entrepreneurship. To be an entrepreneur, you do not have to have the best marketing. To make money, you do not have to have the most beautiful building or office. For crying out loud, you don't even have to have a roof to make money, as you can see there. Some people have started their businesses in their garage, in their basement, in their car. And as you can see here, we started this business on the corner of the street, barely knowing how to spell, but it was thriving as a young, I think 12 or 13-year-old kid at the time. Now, I want you to think, are you an entrepreneur? Yes. If you manage a venture, you are an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of times as college students and at your age, you doubt yourself too much. And you don't believe in yourself because you're comparing yourself to an Elon Musk or somebody like that. But think back in your life. Have you ever done anything where you've tried to make some money and you've tried to do it on your own or even with a partner? If you've done that, you're an entrepreneur. And now you can take those skills and the skills that you learn in this course and doing a minor in entrepreneurship, I would encourage as well. And you can grow those skill sets and become a greater entrepreneur. This is a quote I love, and I wanted to share it with all of you because I feel like it's something that could benefit you for the rest of your life, especially as an entrepreneur or in business. And comparison can take away that joy. So when you start building a company and you get to, let's say, $50,000 in revenue for a whole year, and you're all excited. It's like, wow, I've started something. I've made 50 grand from this idea I came up with. And then you go to a class or a seminar or a conference, and somebody else stands up and says, oh yeah, we did 1 million in revenue last year. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, my business sucks. I don't like my business. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm only making 50 grand a year. They're making 1 million. But guess what? That person who's doing 1 million, same issue. He or she's going to another conference. They're making 10 million in revenue, and they're comparing themselves to that. Even your big businesses will compare themselves, entrepreneurs, to the Elon Musks of the world. Now, it's not an issue to want to drive for higher achievements. That's fine, but you have to check yourself and find joy in what you have accomplished. So this applies in so many ways in life, but definitely in entrepreneurship. Okay, years ago, I read this book, and it literally changed my life. John Huntsman. That's one of the reasons for anyone who's in the business school. It's one of the reasons why you have a place to study. Has anyone read this book? Just curious. Wow, that is impressive. Love that. So this book has inspired me and my wife in our business ventures to obviously never cheat, to do the right thing, even though sometimes it's difficult to do the right thing, because in some instances you may not make as much money if you're doing it the right way and you see others cutting corners. But ultimately, doing the right thing and never cheating will always help you get ahead. The other thing that I learned from this book that has inspired me was when you grow a business and you're an entrepreneur, you have an obligation. John Huntsman doesn't say, hey, yeah, you have a choice, if you want to give back or not. No, he says you have an obligation to give back, to be generous with what you've been given. And how generous has John Huntsman been throughout his life? We see it on campus. We see it throughout the world if you know about his life. Well, I wanted to pay it forward, and in honor of John Huntsman, I wanted to pay it back to somebody. So we had someone selected for this, and I'd like to invite Isaac Peterson to the stage. Come on up, Isaac. Hopefully you're in the audience. Where's Isaac? There he is. Isaac has no idea what we're doing. He doesn't know other than we made sure he was going to be here tonight. Isaac, how are you?
Good, how are you? I'm doing great.
Awesome. Now tell me, Isaac, a little, because I've never even met you, but tell me a little bit about you, just maybe like a 1-minute story about you and your experience here at USU and with entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I love Utah State. It's been incredible being here. I am studying finance right now, and I really just love creating stuff and doing my best to really, really embrace dare mighty things and to be an entrepreneur. That's really what I love. So right now I work at Ceremony Blankets. It's a company that my parents started, and it's an incredible business, and I'm working right now on some pretty cool projects that I love, and I'm just doing my best to be like people like you. So
that's awesome. Tell us about your experience with Seed. I heard that you went on the Seed project. Tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Seed, genuinely, this sounds super cliche, but honestly one of the most incredible experiences of my life. So got to go and spend 3 months with people down in Mexico, and we saw some incredible experiences. Some people were able to go from losing the equivalent of $1,000 a month to making $1,000 a month, and just being able to see people's lives literally changed has made me want to do my best to give back as much as I can. And that's one of the greatest ways to do it is to teach people how to be entrepreneurs, and it was an incredible experience.
That does sound amazing. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about Seed later, but one of the things that really stood out when we were looking at this selection process was your desire to give back, and how you went on Seed and you gave back, and you have that desire to be an entrepreneur and want to give back. And so tonight, we thought, my wife and I, we would try to pay it forward like John Huntsman. And in honor of John Huntsman, we've decided to help Isaac. Hopefully this will help him cover some school costs or help him with his entrepreneur endeavors. And we've got a check here to help you, Isaac, for $10,000. It's yours, my friend. 10,000, brother.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That means more than you could imagine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We know you'll pay it back. So thank you very much, Isaac. So we know tuition, hopefully that can cover for a year to help him in his endeavors as an entrepreneur, help him cover those costs. And we know that Isaac's that person who one day will stand on a stage and be able to do the same thing for somebody else, if not everyone in the audience. I wish we had the opportunity to do that today. Okay, so moving on to the next thing. So in my entrepreneurship journey, this was my next stage. So I went from selling golf balls to walking these streets, and little did I know that they would be the most incredible times of my life and would direct the rest of my life. This is the Dominican Republic. Now, those of you who would like to go to Seed, it doesn't look exactly like that everywhere, so don't be nervous. Please go to the DR. But this is me here as my younger self in the year 2000, I guess. My mother made this book for me, so hopefully she got the dates right. But I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in 98 to 2000. And this is me here in a small town in the Dominican Republic. But some of the things that I learned on this mission were communication skills, appreciating other people's culture, realizing that the way I think and do things, or the way I am, isn't necessarily the best way and isn't necessarily the only way to think or to do things. I learned how to work hard. I learned that it's important to put other people in front of yourself to find true happiness. So this helped propel me to the next stage in my entrepreneurship journey, which was here at Utah State, the quad. So I don't know if they still do quad day? Okay. So I came to Utah State, and one of the counselors encouraged me to go to quad day and to get involved. And I knew nothing about college. My brother had been to college, my parents as well, but I didn't really know anything. Those of you who are freshmen are like, yeah, I'm the same way. And those who remember your freshman year. But they said, get involved, do something more than just go to school, get grades, and, graduate. So I went to day on the quad, going around to all the booths. Everybody's trying to tell you that, their club or whatever is the greatest. And I came across one club called Best Buddies. Anybody here a part of Best Buddies or ever been a part of Best Buddies? Oh man, we got one in the audience. All right. I would invite many of you to be a part of this. But Best Buddies really changed the way my entrepreneurship journey went. And the reason why is I was paired with a person with a disability. His name is Devon Loveday, there in the blue. And he introduced me to his friends, Brandon Fredrickson and Stephen White. And throughout college, I had the chance to be his friend. Best Buddies matches people who have intellectual disabilities in one-to-one friendships with people who don't have disabilities. And the idea is to have you hang out with the person, be their friend, because a lot of people who have intellectual disabilities, such as Down syndrome and autism, it's very difficult for them to build friendships, genuine friendships and relationships. And I had my entire college experience to enjoy time with these individuals and with Devon. I ran for the Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences Senator while I was here. And Devon was my campaign manager. And it was so awesome because he was all about just helping me, wanting me to win. And he had an intellectual disability, so this was a fun joke that we joked about even after he did this. He put a sign on and it said, "Vote for Haskell." But Devon was out on campus yelling, "Vote for Harris! Vote for Harris!" And somebody came to me and they said, "Hey, Devon's saying vote for Harris. You need to go fix that." So I had to go up and fix that. My campaign manager was telling people to vote for the wrong person. That was a pretty funny story. But it really changed my life because I realized I wanted to do things that gave back to people. I wanted to make a difference in this world. And if that counselor wouldn't have invited me to do that, I don't think I would have joined Best Buddies, and it would have changed my life. The other thing I wanted to point out is another professor of mine who was a French professor. I did a French minor, and I remember at this time I had no idea what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do for a living. But she told me in class, I could see you being a successful business person and a successful CEO someday. And I thought about that later, and to be honest, I don't even know if I knew at that time what CEO stood for. Maybe I did, but at the time I was just like, really? Like, I've never thought about going into business before, and I've never thought about being a CEO. But her belief in me and pointing that out has stuck with me ever since. This was 2001, 25 years ago. And I want you guys to remember to listen to the people who believe in you and encourage you, and ignore the people who mock you, who tell you you can't do it, who are saying no to whatever it may be that you're trying to accomplish. Ignore those voices and listen to those like my professor and my counselor who do believe in you, because that made a big difference in the decisions I made. I failed to mention, but you can probably see they ended up being my best men at my wedding with my beautiful bride, Leslie, and we continued to share that friendship for many years until Devon did pass away in 2015. His grave is just over here in the Logan Cemetery. And you can see there's a Best Buddies logo on there. That's how important Best Buddies was to his life. And and that's my oldest daughter. He got to meet her and hang out with her a little bit. But one of the reasons I bring this up too is because Devon became one of my whys. And you've heard this from other entrepreneurs. You've got to have a strong why. Why are you doing it? Why are you running that business? Why do you want to build that business? Because in order to endure the difficult days, the difficult nights, the difficult financial statements, the difficult months of low sales or whatever it may be, you have to have a strong why. And Devon was one of those whys, because we were able to help him with one of our financial products. And when he passed away, everything was taken care of. His mother had passed away years ago, and his family told me it took them many years before they could finally afford to get a headstone for the mother. But when Devon passed away, having all of his things in place because of the services our company offered him, we were able to get a headstone, everything was paid for, and he became a big why in what I do now in my business. Okay, so then that led me to the next thing in my career, which is Best Buddies International. So I volunteered for them here at Utah State, but I also decided that I would work for them. And I got a job in San Diego, California, right out of college, Utah State. I graduated in 2004. And I honestly didn't know exactly what I was going to do. My senior year, still didn't have a final plan. I knew I wanted to build businesses, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what type of business. I went to an event in Salt Lake City, and the director for Best Buddies International was there. And I built a relationship with him, and he invited me to apply. And I applied and was offered the position in San Diego, California. So that's another thing I want you guys to think about, is look for opportunities to build relationships with people. Have conversations. Go out of your way. I had never met this individual before. I was just the director here at Utah State. That's why I went to the to the event in Salt Lake City, met him for the first time, and just striking up a conversation with him was offered a position which changed my life. So I would encourage all of you to take advantage of any opportunity you have. Go out of your comfort zone and meet new people and get to know them. So the Best Buddies organization is an organization that's international. So at first, I learned skills. So some of you, taking a W-2 position, Best Buddies was a W-2. I was an employee. So I wasn't an entrepreneur at that point. I was focused on, working with Best Buddies. But I learned a lot of skills working for that. So if you have a business idea, but you're not quite ready, or you need to develop some capital, or you just feel like you need a few more years before you implement that, there's nothing wrong with taking a typical corporate America, typical job, because I learned a lot of skills at Best Buddies International. I oversaw a couple different offices in California. As I got to learn more and more, I was promoted. I learned how to manage people. I learned how to hire people. I learned how to manage a budget and how to, really see what works and what doesn't work in an organization. I then moved to Florida and worked for Best Buddies as well, overseeing the operations for the state of Florida. And it was the programs that I oversaw for the whole state. And then at that point, I was offered the position to come back to Utah and work as the state director for Best Buddies here in Utah, and got to learn how to fundraise. And fundraising is basically sales. You're selling the vision of the nonprofit, you're helping people see why they should donate money, and you're helping them see the benefits that they would receive from donating to the nonprofit. So incredible time at Best Buddies, and learned a lot. But then that led me to the next phase. And this is something we were just talking about at dinner, is somebody brought up a question about, like, do you just jump right in? Do you just burn all the bridges and just go all in, to be a successful entrepreneur? And the way I did it, I wouldn't say it's the way everybody does it, but a lot of people do it this way, is I thought methodically, how can I become an entrepreneur, start my own business, but also not go bankrupt? I was married at the time, and we wanted to start a family, so I didn't want to get my bank account down to zero. So we thought of a creative way of keeping my current job while I also tried to build a business. And Learning English Live was the business that we were trying to build. It was my brother and I that went into business together. And it was basically, the idea was to teach English to Spanish speakers across the world. And at that time, basically Skype was the only thing around. FaceTime wasn't even around, none of those other platforms. It was basically just Skype. But the idea was, hey, let's get face-to-face with these people throughout the entire world, and let's teach English to them. And we'll charge a monthly subscription fee. So we started it, we got going, and as many of you have learned in this course, that it never goes the way you think it's going to go first try. Never. I don't think I've ever spoken to an entrepreneur before who said, I had the plan, I executed on that plan, and everything went to plan. No. I mean, think about your lives. You think about the plan you had, where you wanted to be, what you wanted to accomplish, do. Probably every single one of you has had to make adjustments to those plans, change things up a little bit. Same thing in business. You will run into that. And so when we were building this business, the idea was, let me sell some financial products on the side so then I can afford to build this business. So I started to sell financial products to senior citizens on the side, helping them navigate retirement and prepare for one day leaving their benefits to their loved ones. And as I did so, I realized, wow, this is actually a lot of fun. And I'm actually good at it. Before, I always used to think salespeople were a little slimy, salespeople were a little too aggressive, the stereotypes of sales. But as I started to sell products to senior citizens, I realized, hey, this is actually really fun. I'm enjoying helping senior citizens. They really need these products, and the other products they're getting offered aren't as good as the products I can offer them. So in the end, we all win. It's a win-win. Stephen Covey, win-win. 7 Habits, highly effective people. So it was amazing. And so I realized that learning English live needed to go, and we needed to pivot. And you will learn in entrepreneurship, you have to pivot. You have to pivot all the time. Even when you get something going well, you will have to pivot because things do not stay the same. Change is the only constant. We know that, right? That's the only thing that doesn't change, is change itself. And we pivoted and realized, let's take all the time and effort we're putting into learning English live, and let's move our focus to maximum senior benefits. Because at the time, I was doing well. I made 6 figures my first year. I had never made 6 figures. And I thought, wow, I made over $100,000. This is great. And then I just kept learning and earning more. And then I realized a couple years after doing that, I can help other people achieve success like I have achieved. And so then we started to implement a management system. We started to hire other individuals, train them. We implemented new products. So initially, the growth of the company, we incorporated maximum senior benefits in 2011. And the first few years, we're just trying to learn things, selling the products, and then we started to hire individuals and help them build their businesses. And over the years, we have had the privilege of helping hundreds of individuals, obviously, who worked for our company, make a lot of money, but we've had the privilege of helping hundreds of thousands of senior citizens navigate retirement. And for me, that is so important, to know that people like my Aunt Carolyn, who needed someone to sit down with her and show her what she needs to do to navigate retirement, to help her with her insurance products, with her Medicare, with her annuities, things like that, that would help her throughout her life, and the ability to do that for thousands and thousands of people across the country. So Maximum Senior Benefits was founded on the product of, it's called Final Expense. It's a product that helps senior citizens prepare for when they pass on, everything will be taken care of, just like I showed you with my buddy Devon Loveday. Then it evolved as we continued to grow that side of the business. We realized senior citizens need more than just this one product. They also need additional products. So we already had our clients, and we saw value in helping them and also value in earning more money from helping them, of course. And so we added the Medicare product. We added hospital indemnity. We added annuities. And these are all products that help senior citizens navigate retirement. So it was quite a journey, and it continues to be quite the journey. But moving on. Like I mentioned at the beginning, John Huntsman, in his book, inspired me. And there have been many others who have inspired me over the years. And seeing people give back and do things for others, and seeing the change that it makes in their lives is inspiring to me and my wife and my family. And being an entrepreneur really gives you so many opportunities to share and give back. It helps you create something where you can create a surplus, to where if you choose to do so, you can use that surplus to benefit others. And I had the privilege of working with Michael Glauser at Westminster University, getting to know him. We stayed in touch over the years. And when I moved back to Utah in 2016, he invited me to be on the advisory board for the Center for Entrepreneurship here. I joined the board and continued to come to the meetings, and then all of a sudden, we're talking about this program called the SEED program. And at first, I was like, oh, what is this? SEED, interesting name, okay. And then, Small Enterprise Education Development, okay. And then, year after year, I continued to see that it was becoming more and more popular among the board members. And we saw, and Mike and Andy Tennell would talk about the difference it was making. And most of you probably know or should know what SEED is. But basically, it's taking amazing students like yourselves, teaching you certain basics about business, and then sending you to one of these countries and having you build people up from poverty, help lift them out of poverty. As you know, I lived in the Dominican Republic for 2 years. I saw extreme poverty, and I wanted so bad to lift them out of poverty. But at the time, I had no funds, no surplus to do so. And we've had the privilege of being on seed trips in Peru as well, and the Dominican Republic. And I had the privilege of taking my family with me. So 2 times to the DR, once with my daughters, once with my sons, and 1 time in Peru with all of my children. And it was one of the most amazing experiences, because what SEED does is it takes someone like you, puts them in front of people who are making maybe $1 a day, maybe $2, maybe $3, maybe $4 a day. And what you're doing is you're helping them learn basic skills, basic business skills that are going to lift them out of poverty. When we were sitting down with one of these individuals in the Dominican Republic, she was trying to sell popsicles, ice cream from her home to make a little extra income. And as we're brainstorming ideas, my, at the time, I believe, 8-year-old son, no, maybe 10 at the time, raised his hand and said, hey, I have an idea. What if you were to create a punch card, and for every 10 times they come and buy ice cream, they get a free ice cream? And the individual kind of lit up, and she had never heard about such a thing. Every single one of you guys have seen that, right? Like, tons of businesses do that. But even having my 10-year-old son bring that up possibly could have helped that individual increase her business. That's how simple it is to do that. Now, the SEED program is close to our hearts, because what I see in the SEED program is it's the opportunity for everybody to progress. You as a student, you grow. You get to know other cultures. You see that life isn't just about yourself. It's about helping others and giving back. And then you're helping lift people out of poverty. So of course, they're excited. They're happy. They're making big changes, and there's changes for generations to come. I'd like to invite Mike Glauser, Andy Tennell, Brian Weller, and Leslie Haskell to the stage for a second. Come on up. These are some of the best individuals you will ever meet. I just want to say that Michael Glauser has played a pivotal role in my life. Andy Tennell has done the same. For those of you who know them, know how how dedicated they are to helping others, to helping students, to helping fellow Aggies, but how dedicated they are also to alleviating poverty. And I'd like to thank Brian Weller for his support and what he's done to help us. So in honor of Michael Glauser and Andy Tennell, I want us all to join in to thank them. My wife and I have decided, we have it signed by the president of the university. Thank you, Brian Weller. Got it ready, got it signed, ready to go. We are signing a commitment letter tonight to provide over 500 scholarships to the SEED program with a commitment of $1 million over the next 5 years in honor of Mike and Andy and their dedication to alleviating poverty. Let's go, brother, let's go. We're actually going to sign it right here because I want to do this in honor of all of you. And I want you guys to witness this and to be able to thank Michael and Andy for the vision that they created for this university. If it weren't for Mike and Andy, the SEED program would not be where it is today. And if we can get all of us collectively to help in this effort, your parents, your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, let's go out and let's raise $5 million so we can have the SEED program infinitely here at Utah State and dare mighty things like John Huntsman has asked us to do. All right, come up here, Les. We got to sign this. Signed. All right, there we go. Thank you very much. Now, in conclusion, don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going, don't forget, turn back around and help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind. This was in honor of Mike and Andy and all the SEED participants, Isaac Peterson, and everyone else who has truly changed the world and will continue to change the world for many years to come. So, who's going to be a champion? Let's go! That's my pick! You guys are my champion! Let's go, Aggies. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. Who else actually picked the Aggies to win the championship? Hey, we got one? We got two? Three? 4, 5? Okay, we have some believers. Nice. Way to believe. But you are champions, guys. All right, I guess we have a few minutes for questions. Anybody have any questions? And then we'll enjoy some Aggie ice cream. And Leslie and I would love to get to know you and chat a little bit as well afterwards. Question? Did I ever feel imposter syndrome is the question. I feel it right now, actually. I actually do. Like, preparing this, I went back and watched probably 6 or 7 other entrepreneurs to prepare for this, the entire classes. And the whole time I'm thinking, why am I going to get up there? Like, what do I have to offer? Like, I'm a fraud. I'm a fake. They're going to get it. They're going to see it. My fly's going to be down. They're all going to be laughing at me the whole time. I did check that before I started today. But yes, you're exactly right. You will feel imposter syndrome, always. I think that's just part of life. We're always going to feel like we don't belong, or maybe it's like, well, I'm really not that successful. And is this going to work out? Even doing what we did tonight, it was a little nerve-wracking for me to give away things. And you kind of feel that imposter syndrome. So yes, I would say just embrace it and just acknowledge that it's part of the journey. Great question. Here we go, another question.
It seems like you're obviously pretty family-based. You did trips with your family. How has it been being an entrepreneur, but also caring about your family and making time for them?
So his question is it seems like we're pretty family-based. How has it been building businesses, being an entrepreneur, but also being dedicated to family? Correct? Yeah, great question. There's going to be times where things get out of balance. Well, life is, and I've heard other entrepreneurs say this as well, you're never going to find perfect balance, ever. So just throw that out the window. We tried for years, my wife and I, we tried so many different things, and we would accomplish it for maybe a few days, maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe even a month. But even now, we're still trying to find balance. We have 5 children we're raising, and every day is a new adventure, a new journey. Even the drive up here for 2 hours, my wife is on the phone the whole time with the babysitters, trying to figure out rides, trying to figure out who's going where, where's that person going, where my 7-year-old's getting lost, where's the dog? Like literally an hour and a half of the drive is figuring all that stuff out. So do you think we have much balance in our life? Not really. But to your point, and I heard this recently, is be intentional. Be intentional with your time, with your family. So my wife and I, you would think, well, you're my spouse. You're my priority. Of course, you're going to be my priority every day. But if you build a business, even with your spouse, you could go the whole day and even into the night, and you may have not even spent time with your spouse. So being intentional, blocking off time. Like there's no bad thing about that. I think that was kind of hard for my wife initially. Well, why do you have to schedule time for me? I'm your wife. But I think over time, we've both realized you have to be intentional, schedule that time, and that time is dedicated to whether it's your spouse or your children. But also going back to your friend's question there is, you're never going to find the perfect balance in that either, but you're going to find opportunities, and as long as you make it a priority, you will find ways to have a great family life while being an entrepreneur as well. Question here.
In the process of building maximum senior benefits, what was your greatest setback or failure that you went through in the early days? How did you come back from that?
In the process of building maximum senior benefits, what was our greatest setback and how did we overcome that? There were a lot of setbacks, and there continue to be setbacks. That's just part of the journey. But one of the setbacks that comes to mind now is when you're small and either, I've heard other entrepreneurs say this happened with certain vendors, where they have certain vendors that are very important to building their business, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And all of a sudden half of their business is just gone. In our case, we have certain individuals who are very successful at selling the products we sell, and they bring a lot of revenue into the company, and then all of a sudden they decide to move on. And that was one of our big setbacks when we were young in the company, and we only had a handful of good, solid people, salespeople in our sales force. And if you lose 1 or 2 or 3 of them, that's a huge setback. And there were even times when I thought, is this even worth it? Like, should we keep going down this path of trying to build this company and hire people? It seems so difficult to keep them happy and keep them around. There were many a times when I almost gave up. But we have the word of the year at our company this year, and it's DAWG, D-A-W-G. And it stands for discipline, attitude, work ethic, and grit. And do you have the dog in you is what we keep bringing up. And if you have that, you'll be successful. And so that's what we continue to thrive on. And even for yourself as the owner, I have to keep telling myself, do I have the dog in me? Do I have that discipline to keep going? Can I keep my attitude positive? Can I keep my work ethic? Can I keep that grit that really brings it all together? Great question. One more question. If we've got one more. Anybody? Going once. We got one.
Mine's not really a question, but I am participating in a seed program this summer.
All right. Awesome. You're welcome. She's going to participate in the seed program and is just thanking us. Well, thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Like I said, if you want to chat a little more, come on up. We'll chat with you, my wife and I. Thank you for having us.